At 16 minutes in, things get really troublesome for us, and this is really, to me, the center of the whole issue. At 1548, he says, quote, "Logic is not something that human beings just make up," end quote. Here's another quote. Quote, "We did not just sort of make up these laws of logic, and there are 3 basic laws of logic." Continuing on at 16 minutes in, he says, quote, "Logic is not just something human beings make up. There are 3 basic laws of logic. Aristotle defined them," end quote. Water. And so just by using our sense experience, if we watched water, we would watch the water expand, and we would see that the container that we had the water in previously would no longer be sufficient to hold that water once the water is frozen. And that is contradictory to our sense experience. And if it isn't, that means you haven't fully stepped into what it means to say contradictory to our sense experience. I mean, when we say sense experience, I mean very, very much exactly what you're experiencing. So that he recognizes the existence of the counter-argument that I just offered with respect to quantum mechanics. And it may not be in this video. I'm looking for it very quickly. But he says, oh, here it is. At 19 minutes in, he says, quote, "You can talk all you want about string theory and quantum physics and so on, and we'll get to that perhaps a little bit later," end quote. And then what I wrote in response to that after hearing it was, "How about we get to it now, since it is so important to your grounding of logic to the external world? In fact, the behavior of subatomic particles is fatal to your derivation of logic from external reality." And I got no problem saying that, and I got no problem you stealing my ideas, because that's like kid stuff, dude. You know? I mean, I didn't even break a sweat coming up with that sentence. So simple-minded are his analyses of the concepts knowledge and truth. In 2015, he says, quote, "That is the difference between saying that something is a potential fact and saying that something is an opinion," end quote. So there's a classification in Stefan Molyneux's brain that accepts potential fact as a meaningful term. Potential fact. He gives his statement. He says that, quote, "The Red Sox are the greatest team in the world." And he keeps going on that whenever you say anything about the Red Sox, that somehow that's just something that can't be disagreed with. That somehow we cannot have fruitful disagreement about that. That somehow or another there is not a truth value to that statement that is true for everybody at all places and all times. If you say that the Red Sox are the greatest team in the world, if you say that Apocalypse Now is the greatest movie in the world, then that statement is true or it is false for everybody. It's an uncomfortable thought, but you have to be clear about what you're disagreeing about. When someone comes along and says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to disagree with you that the Red Sox are the greatest team in the world." Okay. Are we disagreeing about the Red Sox being the greatest team in the world? Or are we disagreeing about how we go about judging what the greatest team in the world would be? That's different. And the latter is prior. So when you go to analyze the Red Sox, the greatest team in the world, and someone comes along and disagrees with you, you're not disagreeing with the fact that the Red Sox are the greatest team in the world. You're disagreeing about the criteria according to which you two participants in a discussion will judge the term greatest team. And if you two as participants can't come to an agreement about what the term greatest team means, then there's no reason to even discuss whether or not the Red Sox are the greatest team in the world. But if you two participants can come to an agreement about the criteria according to which the term greatest team is going to be used in a sentence, and once you agree on that criteria, then the proposition the Red Sox are the greatest team in the world has a true answer or a false answer, and it's true for everybody. It's true for some guy in India, and it's true for King Charlemagne. It's true for Göbekli Tepe. that the Red Sox are the greatest team in the world. But if you want to fruitfully discuss it, you're going to be talking about the criteria according to which you use a term in a sentence. It's not about whether or not the Red Sox are in fact that. So aesthetic judgments need to be handled very, very carefully. And what I just laid out for you is not uncontroversial, especially among artists. I mean, philosophy and art don't mix very well. But they can mix, and he doesn't want you to mix it. He keeps dropping these aesthetic judgments as something that you can't disagree with. Like he says, I like Queen. Okay, that's a statement. If he says that Queen is the greatest band in the world, okay, that's a different statement. And that's something that two people can fruitfully discuss. Whether you can come to a conclusion with respect to whether or not Queen is the greatest band in the world or not is different than coming to a conclusion with respect to how the laws of gravity are going to operate on an orange. Or separate than, figuring out that I'm a pretty sexy dude. Ladies love me. So I'll just let that stand. Peace out, yo.